Hey everybody, this podcast is brought to you by all of the anime addicts out there. And if you want to support the podcast, you can head over to aapodcast.com/join or Patreon. You're going to help this show continue to be ad-free. And as a special thank you, we'll be giving you all of our extra content. Honestly, it's like 1,300 episode backlog of all of our hobby addicts, our hentai episodes, and our after parties. And hey, I talked today about how I carried a dog down a mountain on my shoulders, so you'll get to hear about rescue fireman Mitsugi. If you go over to aapodcast.com/join or Patreon, you help out the show. And now, let's get the show started.
Get ready! You're about to listen to the Anime Addicts Anonymous podcast. Make your anime addiction worse at aapodcast.com. And now, here are your anime addicts.
Welcome into episode 643 of the Anime Addicts Anonymous podcast, where our sole mission is to make your anime addiction worse. I am your host, Mitsugi, and I am joined on a very fine Sunday with Caroline. How are you, Caroline?
Yo, I'm doing pretty good. To all those who are not members of our Discord, you are missing out on the news that I have just got a new job.
Woo!
And it's salaried and has insurance and retirement plans.
Oh my god, benefits?
Yes.
Benefits.
Benefits.
Well, congratulations.
Yes, I have not started this job yet. I don't know when I will. Hopefully it will still allow me to continue the show as I have been, but it has very irregular hours, so we shall see how that goes.
And guys, if you want to help out the podcast, again, rather than just supporting the show, you can always tell a friend about us. You can spread the word. You can write a review on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen. However you contribute to the show, we do appreciate you, even if it's just by listening. If you want to follow us, you can do it on Twitch. We're on twitch.tv/AAA Podcast live Sundays at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
It's still daylight time.
Oh,
it's on standard time for another month or two.
I don't understand the difference between that. Eastern Daylight Time. We'll go with that. Since you seem to understand.
Because I always, speaking of the social media, because I always have to make sure I have the correct times correct when making tweets and stuff. So yes,
Indeed. Please
follow us on Twitter and follow us on Facebook and TikTok and Discord.
Discord. Oh yeah. If you go to the website AAA Podcast, you'll see the Discord button on the top. There's like 2,500 people on the Discord. They're all, doing all the things that, anime people do, watching anime together, debating.
We watched Keijo last week.
Oh, see, you can watch Keijo on the Discord.
Maybe we'll get back to it at some point.
The more TNA than you can handle. So on the podcast today, we're going to be talking about we're pretty behind on our mailbags, so we're going to do a bit of a mailbag catch-up episode. We're going to be diving in there. We're going to knock out a dozen mailbags or so, just so you don't feel like you're getting neglected, And we're also going to review Shokei Shoujo no Virgin Road, or The Executioner and Her Way of Life, which is a spring 2022 joint brought to you by Caroline. So we'll get to the hey, what's up? So so we'll be getting to all that on the show and so much more. But for now, let's get to the big news of the week.
It's time for big news of the week.
I feel like really the big news of the week is that you got a job, but in terms of anime, I didn't think there was a whole lot of stuff, but there was some weird news about Amazon Japan pulling down a Dr. Stone book because it was deemed harmful by the Japanese government, which I thought was pretty weird. I've seen, both seasons of Dr. Stone on TV, and I gotta say, there's really nothing in it I would call harmful. It's mostly just silly, like inventing things, But apparently in February, Amazon Japan delisted 2 books in Yakuri Kyoshitsu's Impossible Science nonfiction series. So Kyoshitsu is the name of a writers group of science writers that are notable for acting as consultants for the Dr. Stone manga from about volume 10 onward. So I guess the mangaka, brought them in to help out. The series, actually, apparently, according to this article, is well regarded by the science fiction community, and so the reason for the removal is pretty weird. So in response to the book companies asking Japan Amazon, what the hell, why is it deemed harmful to youths, quote unquote, they didn't really get a lot of information. Amazon Japan suspended all sales in order to prevent the book from being distributed at all. And when asking why the book was banned, some committee in Japan did was send them a list of the regulations or whatnot. But they were contacted by the Tottori prefectural government that deemed that it was, I guess, just inappropriate for children. So typically harmful publication designations only apply within certain parts of Japan. However, in 2021, they spread it a little bit wider. And I don't know, it just seems weird that Dr. Stone was flagged as being harmful to youths without giving a whole lot of explanation for what the hell, for why it was, You've seen Dr. Stone. What isn't Dr. Stone that's harmful to youths? I'm kind of puzzled by it, honestly.
There are a couple of questionable places of mouths and things. So remember when that chief's daughter was being given medicine by Senku, and it made it kind of look like she was doing something else?
Yeah, they're being... Man, I just don't get it.
I'm just making a joke, but
I
don't know what could possibly be harmful unless the science book there are different experiments in there that kids might try that might be dangerous or something.
They said that the decision was made based on, quote, the overall content of the books rather than specific sections.
That's ridiculous.
I don't know. I mean, in today's world, I don't mean to get preachy, but in today's world, if you listen to the music that is being put out today, it's fucking filthy. I mean, I remember back 10, 15 years ago, there'd be songs that were about sex, which of course, since forever, but they're usually not so overtly talking about sex. It's usually they'll refer to sex as a tasty margarita, or even that song Watermelon Sugar. The guy says the watermelon sugar a million times. I'm thinking,
yeah, Harry Styles.
I'm pretty sure that song's about going down on girls, but
I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. There's a lot of euphemisms in music.
But but now you have songs from Doja Cat and Megan Thee Stallion where she's literally just saying "Ooh, I want your cum all over my tongue." She just says it, all over my tongue. It's I'm
not sure why people would want to sing that. It's just gross.
Well, you can have that on the radio, but Dr. Stone can't get published in a fucking science journal.
Well, on that same topic, I was thinking, I feel like I need to mention this because I feel like it definitely relates to the thing that you've been talking about, is the fact that my TikTok got taken down, all because it was a realist hero TikTok, and it showed Soma and his 2 sister wives in bed. He looks really unenthused by the fact that these 2 girls are trying to get with him right after he assassinated 12 people and enslaved a woman. And that actually got very popular, 60,000 views. And then it got taken down for going against community guidelines for being too sexual, when literally it's just him looking very unenthused and holding hands with his sister wives. Well, it makes no sense.
And that picture's ridiculous because he's
it got back. It's back, baby.
Oh, you got to put back on.
Yeah, it's back on.
Oh my God, that's fucking fantastic. You way to just take your big balls and just lay them on the table and you go, I'm Caroline, you don't fuck with me. You don't fuck with me, I'll fuck with you.
like,
Sorry.
I can understand if it had anything like sexual in it, but that really wasn't. Like, it did not break the community guidelines. So continue.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, I mean, it's fine. I'm happy that got put back up. But that picture is ridiculous on its face, though. I mean, if you look at it,
I know.
he's like laying in bed, unbelievably awkward, and he's wearing all of his clothing, including like his jacket.
Stupid sweater vest.
Yeah, his stupid
Not
sweater vest.
It's a cardigan. That's cardigan. That's
His cardigan. He's in bed with his cardigan, and there's these like two hot like elf girls that want to bang him, and he's just sitting there in bed like, I'm wearing my cardigan, like I can't do it. Like God, so frustrating. It's just, but anyway,
Yeah.
Dr. Stone, guys, is not objectionable. Don't read the article by Dr. Stone and go, oh, it's got harmful material in it for children. There is nothing harmful in Dr. Stone. It's mostly just a dumb pseudoscience show that's just fun. I don't know. It was kind of weird that the way things get cherry picked.
I could see if they taught people step by step to do dangerous things.
Yeah.
But that's kind of the cartoons teach us to do dangerous things all the time. Like, you can't see Tom and Jerry and not think that throwing an iron to somebody's face is going to insanely hurt them. That's just how it is.
Anyway, I don't have anything else for the big news. It wasn't a very heavy news week, but what do you have to talk about?
Well, unfortunately for all the fans of Uncle from Another World, due to the rapid spread of COVID-19, as they announced, the production committee of the anime will be postponed, or rather, anime's 8th episode will be postponed in particular. And it was announced on Friday that they will restart the broadcast from episode 1 in the fall season on October 6th. And the 8th episode, which they left everyone off at, will now air on November 24th at the earliest. And this comes after they already suffered a 2-week delay of its 5th episode last month. So they are going through it. That's basically it.
Man, Japan is like, Japan's exchange rate has collapsed so far. I actually exchanged some currency the other day because I wanted to lock in like the cheapest Japan vacation in human history. So, the Japanese yen went to 144 to the dollar, which is like 40% less than what I'm used to. So that means if you were to go to Japan and you bought like an anime figure for $50, nowadays it costs like $31 or $33. It's just so cheap. So I went and I exchanged some currency, because like Japan just never going to open. I think they're just satisfied and not opening for the rest of eternity. I actually think you can go to Japan now with like tour groups, but I'm here to tell you that that's a bad idea. As a person who could easily run a tour in Japan myself, you don't need a tour to go to Japan, and it's going to triple your cost. So I definitely don't recommend that. You should just wait. If you want, go buy some yen right now because it's insane how cheap it is, and you'll get a really cheap vacation if you do that. But COVID, it just keeps... Man, for Japan, Japan is the last country I thought would still be dealing with COVID because they're so good at like obeying what the government says. Like the government says jump, people say okay, like I'll jump, like they jump. Plus, Japan's an island; they can just like shut it down, which is what they've done.
And they are pretty cleanly, from what I hear. Like the subways are much nicer than subways in the United States.
It's not even close, Caroline. And like much better than the ones in London too. But which is where I just was. But yeah, it's kind of a shame. But hopefully it doesn't impact anything else. So is that it?
Yeah, basically.
All right. Well, like I said, we are pretty behind on mailbags because I don't know. People just write more mailbags than we can handle. We pretty much do a few an episode, but.
So many burning questions.
Yeah, so many questions. So we're going to do some mailbag. I'm going to play the drop.
It's time for an almighty anime mailbag. Anime.
Mailbag. So if you want to submit a mailbag, you can go to aapodcast.com/mailbag, and we will be happy to answer anything you ask. So, Raggedy Doctor, I guess we'll just take turns.
Yeah, sure.
Raggedy Doctor wrote, What's happening, AAA? I wanted to know, what is one show/film that you wish would be dubbed in English? There's a lot of shows where context could change in interesting ways and honestly could just make for a show easier to follow. Hope to hear your thoughts. This was Raggedy Doctor, who had written a question previously about whether or not dubs were better because you could just listen and not have to read subtitles and miss out on all the animation and stuff, as I recall. So
yeah, he's a dub stan.
Hey, I'll watch them dub too if I can. Although I will say the Executioner dub was really bad, but if I will watch the dub if I can watch it, because it's shit. I can like get through it much faster that way. So for me, man, if you really look, like a lot of stuff is dubbed already. But for whatever reason, Space Brothers just gets no love at all. Not only does Space Brothers not have an ending, which is so sad because it's really, really good. It doesn't have I don't think it has a dub either. So I checked on my anime list. I looked at the dub credits, and I didn't see anything except Japanese listed. So I'm just going to assume there's no dub. And obviously there's stuff from like the 80s that I would like to have dubbed, but that won't ever get dubbed. But Space Brothers isn't even that old. It's like from the 2000s, and it's from the 2010s, I think, actually, like 2012 maybe. So it deserves a dub, people, and it deserves more content. Like, for God's sake, it's very popular anime. Like, people in Japan, they love Space Brothers. Like, they know it. It was on TV. They got a movie, a live action series. So like, I don't know. How about you, Caroline?
Well, there aren't many that I can think of because, as you said, a lot of good shows are already dubbed, and typically I prefer subbed anyway. But if there was a really good cast and capable script writers, I think that a dub of the Tatami Galaxy would be a really good one to dub. It's difficult to appreciate the show when you're reading subtitles going at 100 miles per hour, because it's also visually interesting and there's so much dialogue and monologues to get through. And that's not like a bad thing, but when they have to talk so fast and there's so much happening on the screen, it would be a really good watching experience if it were dubbed. But as I mentioned, I prefer subbed because I feel like dubbed actors just don't hit the mark a lot of the time. So only if they can get good script writers, because again, it's very dialogue and monologue heavy. It has to be good, and a good cast.
Yeah, that's true. There are shows that I've watched where it's just hard to read the subtitles because there's so much shit popping up on the screen too. Like, I think like His and Her Circumstances is one of those where you're not only are you trying to read the really quick subtitles, but then they've got like pop-ups that are also subtitled. So you're reading like multiple subtitles. It's just too hard. For shows like that, boy, it really would be nice because, as fast as a reader as some people are, and I'm not a fast reader, it's very hard to read a paragraph that's because they wrote a bunch of like kanji on the screen and then also read like what they're saying. It's just too much. It's almost like you have to pause it, and it's just and I think that really does take away from like it takes away from the flow and of what you're watching. Like, things aren't really intended to be paused while you're watching. So you want to read the next mailbag?
Sure. So this one is from Babs. Recently have been showing my boyfriend my favorite shows. He's into anime, but still somewhat new, and I'm a level 50 weeb. Congratulations. What shows do you recommend for date nights? Mitsugi, what do you think?
Well, I mean, I think it really depends on what you like. Like, I would find something that both you and your boyfriend are into. So for me and Pancake, we recently enjoyed, not really date nights, but like when we were pinned inside from COVID, we watched Dr. Stone. We watched Attack on Titan, and then we did like recaps of it. And we both really enjoyed Dr. Stone and Attack on Titan, and that made for like some pretty good date nights. Like, you could cook dinner at home, light a candle, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, make it romantic.
Enjoy your Bed Bath & Beyond candles while Bed Bath & Beyond exists. I don't think it'll be around a lot longer. and just put on whatever you enjoy. I think No Dame Cantabile is a really cute anime if you want more like romancy type stuff. But like you could have a date night without having to be romance. It just depends on what you like. So
Yeah.
I would find something that has a little bit of length to it, so you could maybe have multiple date nights, and find something that you both enjoy. I gave a couple suggestions, but maybe you're not into shonen, so don't know.
Yeah, I mean, when I was answering this question, I was thinking of it as like, oh, he's like completely into anime and you're trying to get him to like it, but you do say that he's into it, but just still not real, like hasn't seen a bunch of it. But if, I'll try to still answer the question, but this would also be good if somebody else out there is trying to get their partner into watching anime and they're like kind of forcing it on them. Because especially with character designs and tropes and fan service that are very specific to anime, that becomes an instant turn off. You need to be very selective until they become a deplorable like you are. So with that, I think that Ranking of Kings is a very good choice. It's Disney-esque and has a little bit of, a little gruesome-ish at times. And then it gets a little bit weird at the end. But you got like a good 20 episodes before that happens.
Ranking
But still,
of Kings,
I think, yeah, Ranking of Kings, I feel like is a really good first anime if they can handle a little bit of it's not like gruesome, but they do make a king smoothie. Like they do make Smoothie King, so yeah, keep that in mind. But I would also feel like One Punch Man and Spy X Family are really good for the casual anime watcher. They're just fun. They have good characters, and they kind of cater to a Western audience very well. So any of those I think would be very good date nights.
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, it just depends on what you like.
Yeah, definitely.
Let's see here. Next mailbag is from the Zod the Immortal from Berserk. Greetings, AAA podcasters. First, I want to thank you for all the great content and work that you do. As someone who has gotten back into anime in the last year, your work has been incredible. You smell terrific.
Yeah, you did not say that.
He didn't, but that's
We actually smell horrible.
Probably. I spent half the weekend trying to change my motorcycle's oil, and what a nightmare that was. Yeah.
I can smell you from here, Mitz. I can smell you from here.
Taking off and putting on the oil filter on a motorcycle is like, wow. It's one of the most frustrating things I think I've ever done in my life. So with that said, my question is this: we can all agree that there are so many stories worth investing in. I try not to double dip with my manga reading and anime viewing in order to take in as many stories as possible. I'm curious as to what your criteria would be for watching the anime and reading the manga both, or watching the anime over the manga. For example, I am interested in Space Brothers, Initial DGTO, etc., and deciding manga or anime can be difficult. Thank you again for everything you do and making our anime addictions worse. Also, what would the donation amount need to be? Let me see. To get Caroline to participate in a second season review of How to Be the Realist Hero.
That would be zero. Zero donation necessary because it's already been done.
Oh my God.
You're welcome. Last episode, baby.
Man, that's cheap.
I know. Like, I'm just catering to the people.
Boy, it did suck too. That was fucking terrible anime.
It was not good.
It was very terrible. Man, I don't know. I don't really read manga because I barely had time to watch anime. So, this is a tough one. But I don't know. Usually, if I'm going to put in extra time on something, it's because I'm trying to share something that I love with people that I like. I'll watch something like Golden Boy 150 times if there's 150 people that want to see it. That's just how I am. But I don't really read manga, so this is really kind of a difficult question for me to answer.
You don't know how to read.
I don't. Look, I grew up in West Virginia. Okay. Don't read shame me. Don't literacy shame me. Anyway, how about you?
It's all good. Well, there aren't a lot of examples I can pull from, but more than Mitsugi. I typically will read, if anything, I will typically read a manga after seeing the anime instead of the other way around, if that's the alternative here. It usually happens when I really love the anime and know the manga has more to offer, like in the cases of Erased and A Silent Voice, in which Erased has an entirely different ending and a lot more details, and A Silent Voice has a little bit of an epilogue, and either way, both fantastic anime, both fantastic manga. Especially in the case of Erased, the manga's much better than the anime. But the source material is also usually a lot better than the manga. And you can say that of anything. The book is always better than the movie. But and that way, I don't get disappointed because it only makes me more impressed. Like, if I were to read the manga first and then watch the anime later and realize, oh, this is not a good adaptation, I'm just gonna get depressed about it. But if it's the other way around and I like the anime enough that I read the manga, I feel like that's a great way to go about it. Unless the manga is just okay and the anime production, like the music and the animation, elevates it, like it did with Demon Slayer and Jujutsu Kaisen. Otherwise, I feel like a lot of people have said about the mangas that they're okay. Like, they're not, like, of course they love it, but they're thinking it's just good. But then the anime comes along and it gets an insane amount of added to their fan base. So if that can be summarized into one answer, I don't know how it would, but that's my answer.
All right. The next mailbag is from Yotaru Vegeta. Would you like to read it?
Okay. So yes, Yotaru Vegeta says, it's time to ponder a difficult question. Let's imagine that you clonked your head and every anime from that point took on the aesthetic of one decade. What decade's look would you be stuck with for the rest of your life? Now, unfortunately, I am very biased on this. I have very little variety of anime that I have seen from different decades. And the style of the last decade would be good for me. Like, if I can be in a world that looks like a Makoto Shinkai film, then I'll take it. But I mean, it's hard to really, because there's so many different qualities of anime style out there. Like, in the 2010s, you got Makoto Shinkai, but you also got, I don't know, any low budget hentai out there. So it's like, oh. I'm just saying, there's stop it. That's gross. I don't have any jelly beans for that. But overall, I feel like it's a difficult question to answer, but I'll just go with the last decade.
Well, I like the 80s. I like how characters' faces seem to be drawn a little differently. It seems like today, most characters kind of look the same. They just have like different hair colors and whatnot. I feel like in the 80s, you had more of that hand-drawn aesthetic, which I love so much. And, it's really, I think the beauty of hand-drawn animation is what really initially put anime on the map. It's what drew people to it in the first place. So you still have that. I feel like a lot of characters' faces and stuff were drawn differently. Like, you'd have bulbous noses, you'd have short noses, you'd have long noses, you'd have different eyes, like, etc. And then the hairstyles are so wild from the 80s. You have, like, that crazy, like, Bubblegum Crisis 80s hair and City Hunter and just stuff like that. So, I was born in the 80s, but, I really feel like, and the 90s is great too, don't get me wrong, but I wouldn't mind seeing anime, like, take a trip back down memory lane and revisit some of its roots as far as designs go, because I think they really do look beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there are definitely some old school designs that would really elevate anime. I don't know, I just couldn't really wrap my head around the question, I guess. But anywho, so let's move on to the next question.
Louis the Cat writes, hello and good tidings. I love that, good tidings. Well, hello to you. What has changed about sport? Oh, here we go. What has changed about sports anime that has led them to be so bad in recent years, barring a few? Anime like Slam Dunk and Hajime no Ippo gave me such tough and gritty vibes and motivate me to hit the gym, but I haven't seen anything like those in so long. What is the last sports anime that you enjoyed so strongly, and what sport and anime would you want to see? Oh boy, man, that is tough. Sports is tough and gritty a lot of times. Like, it's all about the passion and the drama of exerting your will over your opponent and just winning. Even if it's not a contact sport like football or something, even like tennis, like you are competing. Maybe it's not a contact sport, but you are exerting your will and your dominant athleticism over another person. And there's a lot to be said. There's a lot of romanticism to be said about that. And sports shows like Slam Dunk and Hajime no Ippo and Major and some of these, like, they are gritty and they are tough, but it's true, they haven't been really, anime sports shows have not really been like that lately. And I don't really count like Megalobox because it's a fake sport, so I mean, I don't know. But like, basketball is usually considered a semi-contact sport. So, I still want to see hockey and golf done in like a different way. I'm not into the girl, like, idol girl hockey show. I'm not into the really bizarre, like, almost like skate-esque golf anime. It's fine if they have girls in them. It's whatever. Girls play golf, whatever. But I would like to see a little more down-to-earth golf show and a more tough, violent. Hockey is violent. Like, it should be violent. It should be very fast and aggressive. But I don't need to go on the rant about how anime just doesn't take, like, women seriously enough to depict them normally in sports shows. We did that like a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean, but it is a very, very true thing. Like, you cannot think of... You would be extremely hard-pressed to think of even one anime that features women, that is about the sport, and is serious about it.
It's very misogynistic.
You can't think of any, because they just can't do it for some reason, or they don't want to do it.
Yeah, it's very misogynistic. Like, you could take... you could have like a sports anime sport. Like, we'll take a sport like I don't know, basketball. You got boys and you got guys in it, and they're just playing basketball. You put girls in it, and they're like, it's like a totally different show. Suddenly, you can't play sports. There's three things. Oh, it's like it becomes about how to play basketball. It becomes about fan service, or it becomes about like how cute the boys are. So.
Okay, and with that, I think we talked about this a couple weeks ago or something. But now that I have actually seen 4 episodes of Keijo, I can actually say that this is definitely the most serious girl sports show in anime that I have seen. Because yes, it is about the fan service.
Wow.
But they know how to play the sport. They are not teaching anyone how to play the sport. You see how it works. You learn about it through them doing it. They are all extremely serious about it. There is an insane amount of fan service, but that's just par for the course when you play a sport like Keijo. And like, they get the shit done. They get it done. They go to boot camp. They're tired at the end of the day.
I'm looking at this clip that says Keijo begins with the butt. And there's like 30 chicks all wearing like these tight, just the types of clothes you'd see a girl at the gym wearing, just like very like skin tight shorts. And there's just like hundreds of booties. And it's like Keijo.
I will say, for the most part, there are certain points where I'm just like, oh, that's just weird. But for the most part, the fan service is hilarious. The anime is serious, but at the same time, it's very unserious. So, but to answer the second half of that question, yes. For me, the most recent sports show I saw that I think is more of what you want from sports usually is Aoashi. But before that, it might be all the way back to like Yomushi Pedal, which, at least for the first 2 seasons, maybe Yomushi Pedal was pretty serious. It became kind of silly later on. But you might want to give Aoashi a try. It's a little slow to get rolling, but it is about soccer. It's not about anything else. Then again, it's not about female soccer players, but it is more of like it's more of like the traditional shonen sports show that you might want. So, well, we'll be reviewing that soon-ish. I don't know when that finishes up, but
yeah, I don't think it's gonna wrap up anytime soon. So I'm keeping up with the.
Oh, you think it's gonna be more than 2 courses?
Probably, yeah.
Oh wow,
it's pretty good though. I mean, it's a quick watch because not a lot happens each episode, but it's very shonen. So if you're done answering this question, you want to read the next one?
Oh, I haven't even started answering my question.
Oh shit! Why phrase it like that? Go for it.
So, I mean, I haven't seen like a ton of sports anime, especially not like those classic ones like Hajime no Ippo or Slam Dunk or anything like that. But I feel like the answer to as to why they have been on a downward trend lately is because the sports genre of anime, I feel like, has been more focused on the tried and true, yet very tired story and character tropes and designs, like focusing on making the boys cute and following the same beats that other popular sports shows have done. And so I guess, in my opinion, it would probably be more about what will sell instead of what is in ingenuity and what is, those classics that really stride on it. But in terms of the last sports anime that I've seen that I've really enjoyed, again, I have not seen a ton, but I will say I really like Salaryman's Club. I know that Mitsugi didn't really enjoy it all that much, but I really liked it. And I think I'll have a better answer in a couple of weeks because Anime Club is watching Ping Pong the animation. So that is going to be pretty good. I know that.
Yeah, Ryman's Club is fine. It's just that, like, people tend to want to watch sports anime of sports they like. And unfortunately, I don't think anybody in the United States gives two fucks about badminton. It's just...
I give one fuck. I give it at least a little bit of a fuck about badminton now.
I'm sure, like in foreign countries, maybe it's popular, but I just don't think people in the United States care. They don't know what it is. It's something it's something
you know
play.
What badminton is. It's done in every single gym class.
Yeah, I was just gonna say it's something you played in gym class in high school like twice, and so you know what it is. But no one watches it on TV. Like you don't like football started today, and that's what people are doing today. They're watching football. They're not watching badminton. So
yeah, I know that.
Yeah. Anyway.
Okay, so next question is from Remedial Knitter, who says, what movies or shows are the most pure chaotic anime nonsense? I'm talking weird for the sake of being weird, too weird to exist in a more reasonable medium. Some works that exemplify glorious anime ridiculousness to me are Pretty Boy Detective Club, Sarazanmai, or Yurikuma Arashi, and The Night is Short Walk-On Girl. Give me anime tropes taken way past the point of making sense, inscrutable weirdos and deviance and absurdity. Thank you. So, for me, I have come to call some of the more extreme anime of this kind, quote unquote, hammer goes boink anime. And if that makes no sense, I know it doesn't. But if you would have to be in our anime club to understand where that comes from. And it actually comes from Kyoso Giga. Because I got so annoyed with Kyoso Giga because it was just so out there and weird and it didn't make any sense and I couldn't really follow anything and it just felt like they were being weird and, wanting to, this part was taken from, like, it's all told out of order and just weird for the sake of being weird and not really there to make a interesting and good watching experience for people like me. And because the main character of Kyoso Giga wields a giant hammer, we have called this Hammer Goes Boink anime. Boink. So Kyoso Giga is probably like my main example for a pure chaotic anime nonsense, and unfortunately I'm just not really into that kind of stuff. But it also includes stuff like Excel Saga and Yozakura Quartet, where it goes really off the walls and it's hard to understand in ways that I don't even care what's happening in it. So yeah, I'm not huge on these kind of shows. But
Excel
I mean, I feel like
pretty crazy.
I feel like their examples are a little bit more on the still pretty understandable side. Like I don't think that these go nearly as off the walls as Kyoso Giga or anything like that.
Yeah, for me, obviously Blood Blockade Battlefront, which I detest.
Detest.
I detest this anime is and I detest it because it's just chaotic nonsense. It's Saturday morning cartoon. Every single thing in it requires a suspension of disbelief. Crazy fucking nonsense. Some people love that. I hate it. Sabikui Bisco was the same.
I actually enjoyed both of these shows that you're mentioning right now. I mean, in terms of its style, I really enjoyed Blood Blockade Battlefront. And Sabikui Bisco too.
Well, but I'm a
But
curmudgeonly
Skate-
son of a bitch. We know this.
Yes, we know. But your last example, I totally agree with.
Yeah, the last example I had was Skate, the Infinity. Man, what a fucking pile of trash. I can't believe that's getting a second season because
I hope we don't have to watch it.
I can't handle any more of... The fuck was the villain's name in that?
Adam.
Adam. I can't handle any more Adam. He's awful. He ruined that anime. It became... Yeah, I don't know. Oh, God. Yeah.
Ugh.
It wanted to be Initial D so badly, and it just wasn't. So... but there's a ton of these examples. So, anime is great because ultimately, you want to watch something that goes beyond what you're used to from typical mediums. But at the same time, for me at least, when the plot line and the content gets too crazy, then it just becomes stupid. So if you want my opinion, you can go too far. But I'm also old and, whatever. And I have to take Metamucil every day. So, next up.
This is yours.
Sejinther writes, "Good day, anime addicts," and then he writes "Genki desu ka" in Japanese. Yes, I'm very Genki today. So, if someone came up to you and said, "Show me what anime is all about, both good and bad, in one core," what anime would you give them to watch? I would go with Sword Art Online's first core, a half-decent story with not bad animation, with all of the anime tropes, both good and bad, thrown in. Isekai, overpowered protagonist, hot leading ladies, fights, a harem, funny-eyed bad guys, even accidental boob grabs. Keep up the awesome work. Well, I kind of piggybacked off of your example, and I said Jobless Reincarnation. It does come to mind. Jobless Reincarnation does a fantastic job with the world building. The character designs are good. The magic is cool. The animation is good. But then it has just ridiculous tropes that you see in Isekai over and over again, which is like just intense, like pedophilic perversion stuff. Like, we're like, because he's like a 40-year-old man that has the mind of a 40-year-old man, ogling like 15-year-old girls. And, and then your other isekai tropes that everybody's seen a million times. So, like, Jobless Reincarnation, I think a lot of people like that anime. I think a lot of us will acknowledge that it's a good show. I like it. And when the next season comes out, I'll probably watch it. But it has a lot of, like, cringy, beyond stuff that goes beyond ecchi. It dips its toe into, like, offensive sexual content.
It's to the point where we don't even mention the fact that he has sex with his cousin. Like, that is just
exactly.
a complete, we totally forget about that because there are so many other more memorable offensive things.
Or wasn't that the anime where his dad and mom were having sex in their, like, cottage? And, like, some girl was, like, sitting on the floor outside the door, like, playing with herself while she listened?
Yeah.
Like, what?
Yes, I remember that now.
The anime is so good, but, like, why is that in there?
It's to the point where
it doesn't need to be.
It's strange that I actually really liked it, like the show in general.
It's a
and
good
yet it
show.
has that stuff in it. It really does. Yeah. Both of you guys have really good examples. Like Sword Art Online and Jobless Reincarnation are very good examples, to the point where I couldn't think of an example that was just as good. But I suppose on the other side of the spectrum, I guess, we can talk about Wonder Egg Priority as one. Because it had, like, really these interesting ideas and production that is really exemplary of anime and how good it can be, especially since everybody got talking about it. Everybody was like, "Woo, Wonder Egg Priority, like, it's going great. Love this show. It's probably the best one of the year," whatever. But then it suffered major production issues and it tanked at the end, the only way that an anime can tank. And I feel like that shows you the highs and lows of what anime can be like, and not necessarily of its content, as you guys were talking about, but how the entire community can get behind a single show when it's really, really good, and then leaves everyone just crying and sad at the end.
Yeah, Wonder Egg Priority, I did not care for that.
Yeah, me neither.
It was a little too abstract for me, and it is what it is. So they can't all be winners. Okay.
Unfortunately, no.
Next
so
up,
I'll
go
take
ahead.
this one.
Yeah.
So this is from Santa Cruz, who says, "Hey, Anime Addicts. I'm a more recent listener, and I am working my way through the backlog. I know that there were other hosts in the past, so it got me wondering. Caroline and Mason, how did you find yourselves becoming hosts of this podcast? Is there an interesting story there, or did Mitsugi just blackmail you or something?" Yes, he did. Please help.
Probably.
I know it isn't an anime question, but I found myself wondering about the history of the podcast today. No problem. We love having history questions. Thanks, Ruse. So my answer to this is that I was a fan of the podcast for a year or two before 2019 when I had just graduated college. And I was stuck in my job search, and only till just recently, I was still stuck in that same exact job search and had nothing promising, and nothing would be promising for 3 years after that. Little did I know. So back in 2019, Icy Rose, who was running the social media at the time, announced that he had to step away from it. So I just sent him a Discord message asking if I could step in for some work experience. And then flash forward to last year when Mandy needed to step away from the podcast as well, and Mitsugi needed to balance out the catastrophic levels of testosterone that were going on here. And so he asked me if I wanted to be a host as well, and I'm like, yes, please, I want to be a host. And that's how that's the history for me anyway.
Mason was on the Japan trip. Listen, when you're doing a podcast, you need to have people on the podcast that you trust, so it does help when one has interactions with people beforehand. Like Mason was on the Japan trip, so we got to hang out with Mason. Mason's a pretty reliable guy. Caroline had already been working for the podcast, so that makes sense.
And you also kind of need to have a gauge of the chemistry that you have. Like, it's so easy to have an awkward conversation because you just don't click.
And now that Caroline has a new job, you guys will be seeing the last of Caroline probably in a month.
No, I mean, I'm just saying because the job is like weekdays and weekends and nights and mornings, and it kind of runs the gamut. So hopefully Sundays are sacred. I'm hoping.
Okay, but that's the answer. So, and I'd like to do another Japan trip. It was a lot of fun last time, but Japan isn't making that very easy. We were talking about this before COVID, and then COVID happened, and that just ruins everything. So, next up is from Just Jamie. Hi, I've been listening for a while now, and oh, by the way, that last question, working through the backlog, we have more content minute per minute than One Piece. So good luck with that. Yeah, a lot more. Like an anime episode's 20 minutes, roughly. So you got 3 in an hour, roughly. So this podcast is like 2 hours. So one episode of this podcast is like 6 anime episodes.
And it was like 3 hours back in the day.
Yeah, it has. Yeah, there have been those. So we're probably like on episode 1400 or 1500 of an anime at this point. So good luck. Let me know if you ever finished that. Just Jamie, hi. Been listening for a long while now and recently had something that needed to be said. Uh-oh. If Sony spent so much money to merge Funimation and Crunchyroll, then why are they combining everything in the worst app? My opinion is that the Funimation app is bad, but the Crunchyroll app is worse. Hopefully everyone will speak up. Maybe they will fix it. What do you think, Caroline?
Honestly, I don't think the app is all that bad. I use it daily, and I don't really have a lot of bad things to say. I mean, sure the desktop is always better than the app, but would desktop be the word for that? Or do I just sound old?
Yeah, I think desktop is correct.
Okay, good. The one you get on your computer is probably always going to be better, but I haven't come across any issues with the app that was memorable.
I think the answer to this question is that Crunchyroll has more subscribers than Funimation had. So Sony has to migrate all these people. So like all the people that have Funimation but they don't have Crunchyroll, they got to get all those people to migrate off of Funimation onto Crunchyroll. So there's 2 reasons why they choose Crunchyroll. One, Crunchyroll is going to have way more brand equity than Funimation. It's the name Crunchyroll is worth a lot more money than the name Funimation. So they're going to keep that, of course. it's very expensive to develop brand equity. A lot of marketing dollars have to be spent to generate like value. Imagine,
And they have a cute anime girl mascot. They're not just going to
well,
throw her
that's
away.
true. That's true. And Funimation's was like, you should be watching for a while. Like, that's a fucking terrible slogan. But also, because so many more people are on Crunchyroll than Funimation, they're going to migrate people to the... They're going to want to undertake the smallest migration they can. So, I mean, if you have to get, 1 million people to move apps, that's a lot easier than getting 10 million people to move. So, that's why they're going to do it. Now, whether or not the Crunchyroll app sucks, like I kind of think all the streaming apps compared to Netflix, like they all suck. The High Dive app, which I've had to use lately, is really bad. Like that app is terrible. Right down to it doesn't let you like if you're watching Netflix or watching YouTube, you can just double tap on like the side of the screen. It'll like go forward or backwards 15 seconds. That feature doesn't exist on High Dive. I can barely get the slide bar to move. Like if I want to rewind like a minute, it's almost impossible. It's just terrible. Not good, but we're not talking about High Dive, but I understand that all these apps aren't that good, but that's the reason why Sony, it's all about money. In the end, everything in the world is about money. So they're like, oh, we got to keep Crunchyroll's brand equity. So,
well, if there's anything that I really disliked about Funimation's app in comparison to Crunchyroll's, maybe it's because I use Crunchyroll more often, but when I want to go fast forward or rewind like 10 seconds or whatever, that was fine on Crunchyroll, and there is an option to do it on Funimation, but on Funimation, they also had the option to skip episodes, like right on the spot where I would typically tap to fast forward or rewind. That's where they put the skip episode button. And I'm like, I would use my muscle memory and go and press on it, and then I'm like, oh shit, I'm in the next episode, or I went back an episode, and that was really annoying to have to get set back up again, so... I still like Crunchyroll's app more than Funimation's.
Yeah, I don't have a preference, honestly. So I'm mostly watching on my Roku TV. So, would you
All right, last one.
Is this mine?
No, this is mine. This is from J Park 35, who says, "Hey, AAA host.
Hello.
Love the podcast and was wondering what Anime.Plus achievements you are most proud of having. Personally, I like Is This Real Life or Psychological Level 3. So I actually had to look up what Anime.Plus was, and you can submit your My Anime List username, and they will compile everything that you've watched into different achievements and statistics and all that. There aren't really anything that I'm specifically proud of, because I don't feel like it, the achievements are all that interesting to me. But I'm also Psychological level 3, if that works as an answer.
I have no idea what the hell this is. I thought they were asking for like, I thought they were asking us to make up like
your personal achievements,
like personal
make them
achievements,
up.
like like how Xbox has achievements, and I don't fucking know. I don't even.
Yeah,
know
I mean, well, I did tell you about it when I saw that you didn't answer the question.
Yeah.
Yeah. But if we're talking about things that we would make up, I am pretty proud of watching all of Naruto. So
I've seen all the Dragon Ball movies. I'm proud that I haven't watched any One Piece. That I haven't gotten sucked into that hell. So
that would be called Zero Piece.
Yeah,
that would be the achievement name.
There you go.
Zero Piece.
Zero Piece. Some anime are hard to watch because the content is just too bombastic. It's too hammer goes boink, as you said.
Yes.
But One Piece is hard to watch because the character designs are hammer goes boink. Have you ever looked at the characters in One Piece?
I have seen the characters, yes.
Fuck me, they look like ass.
As you have put it, mushroom on a stick. Or sorry, not mushroom. Marshmallow on a stick.
Marshmallow on a stick. I'm not even talking about that. I'm talking about like pirates with like clown noses and all this nonsense. It's too hard for me to get. I can't. We gave up. We've tried a few times to get into One Piece, but
can we have a topic like creating our own anime achievements with like names and stuff? I feel like we've done that before though.
Yeah, we can do whatever you want.
It would be a fun discussion.
We can do whatever you want.
Anywho, shall we get into our weekly trivia question?
Sure, yeah.
In The Executioner and Her Way of Life, Menno routinely introduces herself as a priestess and then 3 adjectives. Do you know the whole phrase? It's blank, blank, and blank. And you can give us your guesses. We will reveal the answer right after our news break.
Hey, Anime Addicts, this is Mitsugi. I'm coming at you with your anime news break. Getting us started off, we have some pretty cool new anime adaptation announcements to go through, including Arefureta Shokugyo de Sekai Saikyo, which is getting its 3rd season, otherwise known as Arefureta From Commonplace to World's Strongest, which was a property that we already reviewed on the podcast previously. So the lead staff from the previous seasons are all returning for this 3rd season at Studio ASR Reed, or however the hell you say that. The main cast are all reprising their roles. So if you're a big fan of this property, which has sold a cumulative 5 million copies so far of the light novel, well, it's going to be coming back for a 3rd season coming up pretty soon. I don't believe that there's an exact release date yet, but I have to assume probably sometime in the next 6 months. Next up, of course, the art director Shichiro Kobayashi has passed away at age 89. A very influential artist in the anime industry. He was born in 1932 in Hokkaido and had worked on some very influential titles such as Lupin III, Castle of Cagliostro, Revolutionary Girl Utena, Berserk, Nodame Cantabile, Kaicho wa Maid-sama, and a bunch of other stuff, including the Tante opera Milky Holmes television anime that was in the fall of 2010. He did retire in 2010, but has passed away. Kobayashi also won the Best Art Award at the Japan Anime Awards in 1986, and has won other distinguished awards since then. So it's a shame, but we definitely appreciate all of the contributions to anime. Next up in the news, Dragon Ball Super Superhero opens in Singapore at number 3, continuing its successful run throughout the world. After just 18 recorded earning days in the United States, Dragon Ball Super Superhero had earned $35 million in the United States, which puts it only $1.5 million behind Demon Slayer in that same time span. So very successful so far, and we'll just have to see how much further Dragon Ball and Toei Animation's Dragon Ball Super Superhero can go in the box office. And lastly in the news, some Cyberpunk information that came out. Cyberpunk CD Projekt Red's video game that was pretty much crash and burn the minute it came out due to just countless bugs, had an update on Tuesday to go with what I can only imagine is a million updates to fix that game. It added a quest line, a weapon, and a cosmetics change from the upcoming anime Cyberpunk Edge Runners that is to be being done by Studio Trigger. You can obtain David Martinez's Yellow Jacket and the Guts shotgun by playing the Edge Runners themed story quest in the game. Just pretty interesting to see that they're connecting the anime and the game together in an actual side quest that you can participate in the game. I myself will probably be picking the game up and actually continuing it now that I think they probably have patched a lot of stuff. So the quest includes a clip from the anime presented via the brain dance gameplay mechanic, whatever the hell that is. And I can't even recall at this point. But if you're a fan of Cyberpunk, they are linking the two, the anime and the game together, and you'll be able to check that out right now, I guess, on the video game. The anime will premiere on September 13th with 10 30-minute episodes. This was Mitsugi, and this was your anime news break. And now, time to get back to the podcast right now. Hey, Anime Addicts, this podcast is ad-free. And if you want to keep it that way, you can go to aapodcast.com/join or patreon.com/AAApodcast. You're going to be getting 8 exclusive podcast episodes per month, our hentai episodes, our after parties, and our Hobby Addicts episodes. And today you'll get to hear a story where I was confronted by a naked Santa Claus in a bathhouse. What? Of course, this is all very ironic since this is also an ad, and I just said that we wouldn't play any ads. Just support the podcast. Mitsugi needs more monster energy over at AAApodcast.com/join or Patreon. But seriously, there's no ads. Just this one. Maybe.
And now, great moments in Anime Addicts Anonymous history.
No one likes drawing little boy penises more than Akira Toriyama.
He loves it.
Dragon Ball, Dragon Quest, this stuff. Akira Toriyama is always drawing like Goku's little baby penis, like when he's a little baby.
I have volume 1 of Dragon Ball right behind me. I'm sure I could flip it open
to any page,
any page, and there's like a
Try.
20% chance you're going to see a little baby boner.
Go get it.
I mean, are we speed reading or am I just flipping to a random page?
Get volume 1 and open up to like page 12. I bet it's got Goku's dick.
Let's go to page 12. Here we go. Holy shit.
Come on, let me see it.
It's there?
Technically, it's on page 13. It's cutting it close. So I'll show you what happens.
Oh yeah, let me see. Yep, there's Goku's dick.
If it's good enough
Yeah.
for Akira
I see it.
Toriyama.
There it is. Welcome back to the podcast. Sorry to keep you waiting.
What were you doing?
I was making pancakes and peach cobbler in the microwave.
Aww.
I was being a good little husbando.
Good job.
Anyway, so in the execution and her way of life, May Knoll routinely introduces herself as a priestess and then 3 objectives. She is, I'm a priestess, pure, just, and strong. That's what she says. That's the answer, by the
I
way.
can tell the dub has really infiltrated your mind.
We'll talk about that later. You gotta love that old school, like, Dragon Ball fucking music, so. Alright, now it's time for some hot new anime releases. Are you ready?
I don't know if I'm ready for this hotness.
It's gonna be hot.
It's time for hot new anime releases.
Alright, so we got some good animes came out lately. The first of which is... We got a lot of these.
I threw in a couple.
The light novel Tear Moon Teikoku Monogatari Dantou Dai Kara Hajimaru Hime no Tensai Gyakuten Story.
Wow.
Otherwise known as... What is this in English? Good God. The Tear Moon Empire, basically, is what they're calling it. So, this one is being done by Studio Silverlink. A lot of people talking about this online. I don't know shit about this, but apparently everybody else knows. So, director Yushi Ibe of Shijo Saikyo no Daimao, or I think that was like the Misfit or Demon King Academy, maybe. Let me just make sure about that because I don't want to lie to everybody. There's a lot of Demon King shows. Oh, nope. See, I was wrong. The greatest demon lord is reborn as a typical nobody. So we watched that as well. Is going to be directing this. So the synopsis is that surrounded by the hate-filled gazes of her people, the selfish princess of the fallen Tear Moon Empire, named Mia, takes one last look at the bleeding sun before the guillotine blade falls, only to wake back up as a 12-year-old girl. With
Of
time,
course.
yeah, oh my God, with time rewound and a second chance at life dropped into her lap, she sets out to right the countless wrongs that plague the ailing empire. Corrupt government, border troubles, blah, blah, blah. It's the realist hero rebuilds the kingdom, but it's a 12-year-old girl.
And it's done by the same character designer as Realist Hero.
It's realist hero, except it's a 12-year-old girl. She's here to fix the corrupt government and I don't know, build a wall at the border. I don't fucking know. That's what it says basically in the synopsis. What do you think, Caroline? Great addition to the anime compendium, or just another torturous realist hero show?
I mean, I don't really have high hopes for it, to be honest. I mean, you're missing out on key details at the very end of the synopsis, is that she's just terrified of the guillotine. They hurt like hell, and Mia hates pain more than work. I think had the idea of having your head chopped off again would be much more understandable trauma instead of just hating the pain.
I'd like to contest that a guillotine probably doesn't hurt because you're dead instantly. So
actually, they have scientifically studied that, and it's possible that people contain their consciousness for at least several seconds after being, chopped.
Several seconds isn't very long.
Still, I don't think it'd be very pleasant. Although, actually, if you're severed from your nervous system, then you probably wouldn't feel it, actually. I mean, I'm pretty sure it'd just be terrifying to be conscious as your head rolls off of your body. But
I don't know.
Whatever. I don't know. So she's terrified of the guillotine. Is she encountering a guillotine in her everyday life?
There's a trailer of this. I'm watching it.
Oh, is it looking good?
Let's see. There's a guillotine. She's in her bare feet walking towards it in the snow. It's very ornate. It's up on this very fancy castle wall. And now people are all watching. Oh, even the guillotine is got carved wood and shit. There she goes. She's dead. Boy, she looks like a little girl even when she's dead. And then she wakes up and she's holding her neck. Oh, my neck got cut off. Ah, now I'm a cute little girl. No. What? How could this happen? And now she's I guess now she's ruling the kingdom. I don't know. It pretty much just says, oh, now she's having tea. Tea is very nice. I prefer coffee. Now she's in jail. Now she's covered in books. Now she's having tea again. Yeah, I don't know. 2023. Probably not that good. All right, what's next?
Looking forward to it. Well, it turns out that Versailles no Bara is getting a new anime movie. I'm not familiar. Or is this
It's Rose of Versailles.
Rose of Versailles. Yeah. I've never seen this, but I've heard much about it. So yes, they have announced that a new anime movie adaptation is in the works. The movie will be commemorating the manga serialization's 50th anniversary as well. So I don't really know much else about. Do you know about this, Mitsugi?
I haven't seen I haven't seen the original. I mean, it's pretty old. You're talking about something that is. Let's see the exact year of this. The manga is from Jesus Christ. The manga is from 1972. As we just said, 50th anniversary of the manga. And then there's an adaptation of this. Several adaptations, really. I don't know a lot about it, but I'm excited to see a modern version that maybe we can cover on the podcast because I do appreciate the classics. And it'll be interesting to see what they do with this. So, do
you think it'll be a reboot or a sequel?
Let's see. So there was an anime.
I mean, it doesn't. From what I can see, it doesn't say specifically.
It looks like the original anime came out also in the 70s, and it's got an 8.3 on my anime list, which is pretty good. So I mean, I think it'd be pretty ballsy of them to release a 50th anniversary adaptation and then change it. They're trying to pay homage to it. The anime itself is from 1979, which is old as shit, obviously. So I don't know. I just think it's nice that it's really tough to expect somebody to go find an anime that's almost 50 years old and watch it and enjoy it with all of how dated it is and it just looks old and people are used to, crisp stuff that looks like it's modern. Not everybody wants to go back and watch old stuff like that. But now people will have an opportunity to watch a classic in a more palatable format. So that's what I'm excited for. I don't even know where you'd watch Rose of Versailles. It's probably someone probably has it. Maybe Retro Crush has it, but there's not a lot of animes from 1979 floating around on Crunchyroll. So it could be. I'm sure it's probably available somewhere because it's a little more well known than most. But it'll be exciting to see it get released because I'd like to watch it. To me, this was the biggest one of the week, honestly. It's just nice to see the revival of old classics.
Yeah, well, these the next two that I have put on here, they aren't like news stories that have more details on them, but I did hear that another anime that will be coming out, or another sequel that is coming out, is season 2 of The Ancient Magus Bride. Magus, whatever that is.
Oh wow.
Mahotsukai no Yome season 2 will be coming out at some point. I think what did they say, next year?
April 2023.
Yes, so spring 2023. Now, it does appear that they changed studios. Initially, they were, looks like it was Wit, and now they're at Kafka. So that's, I don't know. I'm not familiar with that studio. So let's see what we got here. All right, we have nothing. Or was this, is this the OVA that they did?
The original anime came out
The Boy from the West and The Night of the Blue Storm, Ancient Magus Bride. So they got something other than from this. But it looks like it's just like an OVA or something. Yeah, they did an OVA for it.
I wasn't a big fan of this anime. I recall that it was way too slice of lifey for me. And then we got into an argument about like whether or not it was slice of life, because Mandy loved it and I was like, it's boring. Let me see, what did I give this? I
kind of liked it, but I couldn't get over some really weird things, like the fact that she's still technically a slave to the man that she's marrying for some reason. And she doesn't really seem to, it seems like Stockholm syndrome to me, because she shows that she cares for him, but only after, being forced at his side for a while. And it's not as if that he doesn't treat her well. I mean, he does give her a bath when she didn't really seem comfortable with it, which, but for the most part, it seems okay. But I just couldn't get my thoughts around some of the weirder parts of the show. But needless to say, I did enjoy it.
For me, it was mostly just that it's too slice of life for me. But I will tell you that I don't think it's a very good sign that it comes back after 5 years with a different studio that hasn't done pretty much nothing.
Yeah.
So like the anime studio's done nothing. So I think you'd rather have the sequel come close after the first one with the same studio. So now you got a different studio, and it's just too many years later. So I don't know. I don't think anybody will particularly give a damn.
Well, I feel like I feel like this will be a Devil's a part-timer situation. If it isn't at the quality of the first season.
I think I talked about this last one on the news break, but if you want to briefly touch upon it, that's okay.
I mean, if you want, well, just to say that it's Ari Frueta season 3, I can't really say much about it because I've never even seen the first 2 seasons.
It has a hot bunny girl. Very hot.
I am aware of that. It's Studio Asred. Did they do the other? Yeah,
I would check, but I'm too busy looking at pictures of the bunny girl.
Yeah, they did the the first season as well. So
her name is.
They also done you're right, Nikki and Corpse Party. It looks like. So yeah, really, they got a style there.
I mean, let's be honest. This is getting a 3rd season because of Bunny Girl.
You think?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Are you kidding? Definitely.
Well.
But yeah. So if I had to rank these, I would say, based on how exciting they are, I would say Rose of Versailles is the most exciting, followed by Tear Moon Empire, followed by I don't know. The last 2, I don't really care. They're 3 and 3A to me. How about you?
I mean, I would still put season 2 of Ancient Magus Bride on my watch list.
Well, good.
Because I'd be curious. But I'm also not really familiar with the other 3, so I can't really say for sure. I probably am kind of disinterested, to be honest. I mean, I know that Rose of Versailles is good, but I've never seen any of the anime, and I know it's a longer one, so I don't think I'd watch it.
All right. Are you ready to review
Yes.
some anime?
So let's get to our review for this week. It is The Executioner and Her Way of Life, otherwise known as Shoujo no Virgin Road. I really don't know where the Virgin Road comes from. It's kind of out there. But anywho, So it's a spring 2022 anime, and I reviewed it, or did my first impressions on it in episode 628. And the synopsis is this. When interdimensional travelers from an otherworldly land known as Japan appear,
Oh my god.
they often bring death and destruction. And it's up to executioners like Menno to track and exterminate the lost ones before they wreak havoc. When Menno encounters a beguiling, is that the word? Beguiling?
Beguiling.
Yeah, whatever. Lost one named Akari, it's bloody business as usual until Menno discovers Akari can cheat death. That is. So even so, Menno has a job to do. She is committed to her executioner's mission, come hell or high water, provided her newly stirring feelings don't get in the way. So it is done by JC staff. You can watch it on High Dive from a newer director, Yoshiki Kawasaki. And it's based on a light novel. So, Mitsugi, what were your first impressions?
I actually knew absolutely nothing about this anime at all. I don't know. Executioners are cool, I guess. I don't know. Boy, I really didn't know anything about it. So, and sometimes I like it that way.
My impressions.
Sometimes I like it that way.
Yeah.
I want to go in with nothing a lot of times. Because I like the surprise of walking into something without already knowing what it is. It's like, why would I want to watch a movie I already know what it is, what it's all about. So I like the surprise. It makes things very interesting. And also, I am not immune to developing biases prior to watching stuff. So it's better for me, honestly, to go in blind sometimes.
Well, as I did do impressions on it. I had read the plot synopsis and all that, and I thought that it was really interesting. Like, we all are sick and tired of isekai, so I thought it was kind of funny that we now have an isekai where the idea is to kill the isekai people. So I was hooked on that, and it also just seemed like an interesting way to start a story. Like, oh, you can't kill the person that you have to kill, but you now have to go on an adventure with her to figure out how to kill her. It set my expectations really high, especially with the first episode, which was very good. So I was looking forward to finishing it, even though I did watch like the first 6 episodes for impressions, because I was still going back and forth on it, because as the people on Discord will not let me forget, I did pass up Spy X Family because I wanted to pass this one because I thought it'd be interesting, and I knew people were going to pass Spy X Family in the listener's choice poll. So I'm sorry that I decided to take advantage of the system. But yes, I was
a travesty.
Yeah. So, yes, I was looking forward to finishing it. And let's head into our spoiler-free recommendations. Mitsugi.
Yes.
What's your spoiler-free recommendation?
Is to not watch this anime. Look, I've seen worse anime, and I said that I would not say anything bad about this anime for 10 whole minutes. That's what I'm gonna do. We're already a couple minutes in. I've seen anime that are worse. I just don't think it was for me. I think that there are probably people that enjoy this show. There are definitely strong suits to it, but personally, I just feel like there's stuff that's better. Mostly, I just didn't really care for the plot line. I think that you see how good I'm being.
You're so good, Mitsugi. I'm really proud.
Thank you. I just think the plot line was a little too meandering for me, and things that happened later on in the show weren't quite to my palate. But I would not recommend the anime, and I'm going to continue to not say bad things about it for a whole additional 6 or 7 minutes. Okay.
I'm so proud of you, Mitz. Unfortunately, as much as I generally liked the show, it's hard to recommend because, as Mitzi says, there are just some parts of it that do not measure up to the parts that I really enjoyed. I really enjoyed the world and the magic system. I thought they were interesting. I liked Menno. I liked Akari to a certain point. I really like the premise still. I feel like it's a really interesting thing that they set up in that first episode. but the villains are absolutely terrible. And as Mitsugi said, there are they weren't to his taste towards the end, which is a very nice way to say it. The villains are overall bad, but the last one was probably the worst. And then the fact that there are a lot of irritating characters, like Momo, irritating. Akari, as much as I liked her to a point, irritating.
Momo.
And the last villain, irritating. So, yeah, there's that. And they also get distracted from the premise I really liked. So, if they kept up with what they promised in the first episode, I'd be like, hell yeah, I recommend. But as much as I think I would watch a second season, I don't think I can recommend it to the general viewer.
All right. Well, isn't that a shame?
And Rainbow Warrior in the chat asks, shouldn't villains be terrible? I'm like, no, not in this way. Like, they could be evil, but they can't be horribly written. So, yes, I think we are ready to get into spoiler territory, though.
I gotta squirt my cat with this water gun.
Why? What's the cat doing?
Tearing apart furniture with his claws.
Spoilers are coming. Oh my god.
So we bought this Fragdoll cat. I named him Mako Reactor because I love Final Fantasy VII, and he's got blue eyes. And this cat has the longest hair you've ever seen for a cat. I mean, his hair is probably like 4 inches long. I mean, it's like really long. And he just took like a shit earlier, and he just shit all over himself. It was like all the way down to his feet. And I was like, this is beyond help. I can do nothing but run a bath and drag you into this bathtub with me and just fucking flush all of your fur with water to get all this shit off of you. That's what I'm dealing with. This cat is oh no, he's getting in the litter box. Oh god.
You see, Mitsugi, what you're doing right now is padding for time because you still have to talk good things about this anime for another 5 minutes.
This anime, Shokei Shoujo no Virgin Road, otherwise known as Executioner or Way of Life.
Okay.
Has a really good it has a really good opening and ending, especially the ending theme is phenomenal. Not only is the song phenomenal, but the artwork in the ending it's
very nice.
It's probably a candidate for best ending of the season, of the spring season. And boy, it's like this very soft, gorgeous watercolor. And I got to look up the guy that did it is famous. I need to look it up real quick.
Really?
Yeah, but did you enjoy the ending?
I mean, I like the ending thing, but I didn't actually pay much attention to it until you mentioned it, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is very nice. I also like the OP too, but one of the problems that I came across, especially by the end, is that it spoils the cliffhanger of the last episode, like the very last thing they show. It spoils it in the very, like, you've seen this OP several times, and you already know, based on that OP, that Flare is going to be a villain to Menno. And then they leave you off on it like a cliffhanger at the last second of the last episode as if you didn't know. Which, I mean, even if you didn't even see the OP, you would kind of think, okay, Flare is probably going to be a villain by the end because of how poorly written their villains are in general.
I mean, but she's very villain-like in her appearance, so it's kind of...
That too. But by that point, you are not surprised that another one of Menno's quote-unquote allies is going to be thrown against her.
Mm-hmm.
So, and they put that freaking put in the OP. Like, typically I'm not one to be very annoyed at spoilers in the OP, but when you build it up to be a cliffhanger to end your season of anime, it's just so stupid.
Yeah, that's like when they put spoilers in thumbnails. I hate thumbnails, by the way, on episodes. Because if, like, for example, if I'm watching this on High Dive and some character is potentially going to die in the episode that I'm on, and I, like, happen to see the thumbnails for the later episodes, if that character's in that in a thumbnail from, like, you know, episode 12, I know they're not going to die in episode 4.
Right.
It just drives me crazy. And that's particularly hard to avoid on, like, if you're watching on, like, Crunchyroll on your Roku TV, because the thumbnails tend to show up, like, all at once.
Yeah.
So it's kind of the same thing. But the ending is gorgeous. Like, the watercolor art direction is some of the best I think you're gonna see, and the music. It's just, is there anything?
It's a very
like
good song.
Chocho? I gotta look up the.
Yeah, I think it's her.
Yeah, the ending song is exceptional, and let's see, the ending theme is called Tolka Serenade by Chocho, and it's pretty much phenomenal, I'd say. Also, just to keep with the good things for a few more minutes, Menel's design is pretty nice. I like her pretty well as a character. Some of the action in the show was pretty good. I kind of like the mixture of magic and martial arts that they blend in there. And honestly, the first episode of the anime was pretty good, so I can understand why you passed it. I honestly didn't expect her to just straight up murk the boy in the beginning of the show. Like, I thought she was going to kill him and then he would come back to life, or there'd be some twist that would make him, ReZero style, get reborn again or something.
Like, you definitely
nope.
expected him to be a reoccurring character of some sort.
Nope, she does kill him, just straight
Yep.
up. So, yeah. Anything else you want to say that's particularly positive?
I mean, I really liked the world that they had set up. Like, the fact that they got these isekai people, and they're not really appreciative towards them because they have a tendency to destroy everything with their world-given superpowers that go out of control, and therefore they need to solve the problem. But that's not before these isekai people affect their world in a way that it kind of creates a mixture of what this fantasy world is and influences from Japan. So that I thought was very interesting. And then we got also the just general premise, as we've discussed, really well demonstrated in the first episode. And the fact that so she, of course, is maybe not going to kill Kari at the end. There's probably going to be some sort of plot point that's going to make it so that she doesn't have to, or she'll get killed by something else, or she'll sacrifice herself in some way or something like that. But I do appreciate that Menno does have to a pretty decent point, a certain amount of ruthlessness in order to get this very important job done. And yeah, I thought that I really liked Menno. I liked Akari, and that's only when she has her time travel memories intact, because she also has a certain amount of ruthlessness in the fact that she knows she has to die, and she's like, Menno, you better kill me next time, because we can't be doing this anymore. And she's also not irritating when she's in that state. She's like, Menno, I love you, Menno.
Oh my God.
And it's just, she's so much when she doesn't have those memories intact.
Did you watch the dub of this?
No, I did not. I watched the sub, which is far better than the dub, it sounds like.
Yeah.
And I also enjoyed the princess character pretty well, too. So most of the characters I enjoy, except for when they're being very irritating.
Yeah, so it's been 10 minutes.
Yep, you're good. Unleash it.
I want to just criticize High Dive for a minute, because we already know I don't like High Dive very much, but their dub of this was horrendous. And honestly, it's just kind of negligent also. So I'm very baffled by their dub, and mostly because I happen to know that High Dive is a small company that has only a few employees, that is literally down the hall from Sentai Filmworks, which is another fairly small operation down the hall. And Sentai Filmworks is very much a Japanese company. And in this dub, I feel like every character says Menno's name differently. And half of the characters say it incorrectly. So most of the characters call her Minnow in this. And I know I'm being annoying, but a minnow is a fucking fish that you would find in a stream that little kids catch with nets, and then they're good for nothing. You can't really eat them. I mean, they're so small. They're just bones.
Now you're just insulting minnows.
A minnow is a fish, okay? The girl's name is Maynol, which it's Menou, which is a weird name. You're probably not going to see it anywhere else ever. But I just think that High Dive, one, I can tell that they're not really, that their dub artists aren't they're just talking to themselves, because Otherwise, one person would hear how to pronounce Maynol, and then everybody else would pronounce it the same way. But because they
I feel like it's also an issue with our accents. Like, I know it's Menno, but when just talking regularly, I can definitely see if I accidentally say Minnow instead because, try and make it quicker.
I understand. I just think that, like, since you're right down the hall from Sentai, like, why don't you bring somebody from Sentai in to, like, help you pronounce the names correctly? Because you only have one job in this whole fucking world, and that is to read lines for a dub, and you should at least get the names right. So it was very annoying. Not only are most of the characters in the dub like screaming little high pitched girls, but then they say all their names wrong, and it just drives me crazy. Like, so I just wanted to get that off my chest. It's very annoying.
I'm trying to look for how her name is written. Oh, okay. I thought there would be like kanji attached to her name that would make it seem like, okay, so that's why she's called Menno, to make it make sense. But no, it's in hiragana, so no sense.
Yeah, so also, like, I don't know, this anime, the minute that I saw that it was based on a Yuri light novel, I knew I was in trouble. Because I just feel like anime does the same thing to Yuri and yaoi shows that they do to the girls in sports anime. It's pretty. I've seen several Yuri shows in the last few years, and they always end up being just like these ridiculous, like fetishistic romps that devolve into like low-key sex, like sexual content, titty jokes, and love triangles every time. And I just don't think that that's really like, I'm not really part of that community, but like I don't think that's the kind of representation that we're looking for. And in this anime, I think it devolves mostly into like characters fighting over Maynol because they all want her, and just the level of intelligence on the jokes is like Akari, who's insufferable, will go up and like hug Maynol, and like her towel falls down and she's just butt naked. And she's like,
yeah.
And
they give her the most boobalicious outfit design possible.
Yeah, and then Momo, half her role in the show is just to comment on how large Akari's breasts are and to be jealous.
And she's like, "Oh, I love you, Menno. I love you. I mean, nothing can possibly compare to you. Oh my
seconds.
God, my ribbons, they were destroyed in the fight. I can't handle this.
I can't live anymore.
And that's what making me go berserk." And then she defeats the monster because she cannot stand the thought that these gifts given to her by Menno herself were destroyed in the process. And it's just...
Or to have like some insanely jealous moment because Akari can't go to this like ball where Maynol is gonna be undercover, and it's like obvious that she shouldn't be there, but she throws a fit and then she goes anyway. And I don't know, it's just like to me, and I get it, like I'm not LGBT, so like I feel like what I say somewhat doesn't matter, but like to me, you'd want to just have a character that is Yuri that like is just a character in the show, and the entire show doesn't become about the love triangle of Yuri girls. And that's how every Yuri show I've ever seen is. Like they can't just have a character that is like a lesbian or whatever. The whole show becomes about that. And that's kind of how I felt about this anime, because every single interaction is fighting over Maynol, love triangle, love triangle, love triangle, who am I in love with, titty jokes, and that was about it. Because, I mean, I feel like the plot line of the anime is more about that than it is about anything else, because the actual plot line meanders so much that it's about one thing, then it's about this thing, then it changes, and it's about this other thing. And I just didn't really enjoy the plot line of the anime very much. I mean, I knew that Akari was not going to die because it just seemed obvious. Like, I knew that the Archbishop was a villain from the first instant I saw her. I was like, the first frame.
She's too supportive.
The first frame of her face, I was like, up, villain, right there, villain. And then, sure enough, and Akari, I knew she was never going to die. Like, before I even knew that she was unkillable, I knew she wasn't going to get killed. And
because she's in the promo art?
Well, mostly it's because...
she's in the synopsis?
Well, it was because as soon as Akari and Maynol went on, like, the journey together, I knew that they were going to, like, become attached, and then they were going to, it would end up being this thing where and this isn't quite how it went down, but like I knew that Maino would say, "Oh, the church is bad, and Akari shouldn't really be killed, so I'm gonna not gonna kill her." So I got a couple of things right. The church was bad because the intentions of the Archbishop were bad, and then they didn't kill Akari, but somehow Maino still wants to kill Akari. I don't. Why does Akari want to die? I don't understand.
I feel like, okay, so she has rewound time countless times. Like,
Yeah.
she won't say how many, but it's so many that she can't even remember her life back in Japan. So many times that she has built up a very good relationship with Minnow. So based on that, I feel like she knows that there's no way that she can survive. Like, she knows the risks of her still be living, and she does not want to destroy the world that Minnow lives in.
Yeah.
So I feel like and also she just knows that she's going to rewind time into infinity, back to that same point that she's at. I think she's just done, and like she wants to spend as much time with Minnow as possible, but she knows the risks that come with it.
How about just don't use your power?
I feel okay. So they didn't really. I feel like they could use some more explanation on this.
Yeah.
I was under the impression that it just could happen. Like, they don't know how or why, but it could just suddenly, like, the world could possibly end based on anyone that has the pure concept of power that the other worlders have. And also it's the fact that maybe she would continue living and not using her rewind power ever, but every single timeline she creates for herself, Minnow dies. And she wants to find a timeline where that doesn't have to happen.
Also, the animation in this show is pretty poor. There were a couple shots I recalled where there's one episode where Momo and the princess lady are like eating at a bar.
Oh God, I really hate this scene.
And they show this. They show the same like side by side face shot of them chewing and eating like 6 times in the span of 10 minutes, and it's the exact same animation. They literally just cut and pasted it. And it didn't look good the first time, and it's just like, wow, like you didn't even animate this whole scene. It was just like this whole 5 or 6, 7 minute scene of this anime is just like it's like a loop of this awkward fucking chewing. You know what I'm talking about? It was really bad.
And she's like eating like nuts or something.
Yeah, and she's like bar nuts.
And then she's eating at the same time as she's obnoxiously chewing these nuts. And I'm like, okay, so I ate Momo. I think she's the worst part of this anime. She's so annoying. Her character design is a little weird. And her obsession with Minnow is just annoying on its own. But then you have this stupid bar scene where she's talking while she's eating nuts in the most obnoxious way possible. Yeah. And she's pretending, for whatever reason, she absolutely despises the princess character. Even though the princess character is actually like pretty respectable towards her. She's like, actually, I really respect your fighting. And they enjoy, I would enjoy their interactions if Momo wasn't just so fucking annoying.
She's terrible. By the way, those snacks are called otsumami, they call them, which is a word used, I'd look the word up. I knew there was a word for this. Otsumami is a word for snacks and simple dishes eaten alongside alcohol. And the word tsumamu means to grab something with your fingers. So it literally means like food.
Finger
foods, like nuts and fucking chips and shit. So, but that's like she's like, and then it's just like, over and over and over again, bro.
And while she's talking, acting as if she's uninterested in what the princess is saying, even though she's very interested. I'm just like, just Momo, can you just like chill? Could you just chill, please, and just take what you're given? Overall, I didn't really mind the whole Yuri romance, not much of a romance thing, because they don't really do anything. They just make uncomfortable jokes. I didn't think, I'm not saying it was good. It was not good, but it didn't really bother me to the point where it distracted me too much, except for when Momo was there and when Akari was just being Akari. So
the reason why it bothers me is that, like, to me, like
these
girls would just be, they're just people like me and you. But when they're put into an anime, the whole show just becomes about like this
fetishizing it,
this like spectacle. Like, oh, yeah. So every scene in the show is either sexual tension between the princess and Momo, or Momo's fighting over Maino with Akari, or Akari screaming because Maino's not getting her hair ribbon, or the towel falling down, or bath scene number 6. But yeah, so I just get a little tired of that. But the worst thing.
What you were also saying about the repeated animation thing.
Yeah.
They also did that with the scene between Akari and Menno. Although I guess you could say that it was for comedic effect, but still they used the exact same animation where Akari was trying to wake up Menno, and then you had Akari's butt in her face, and they had the same placement in the scene and everything. They just rewrote the dialogue. So yeah.
Well, the other thing is that this is supposed to be Yuri, but it doesn't go anywhere. There's absolutely nothing. Absolutely nothing. Barely even a handhold.
No,
so,
they didn't even get that. But so Akari acts as if she says that she loves Menno.
Oh, she does.
They say they say very suggestive things that would say okay, so they romantically love each other. But even at the end, there was a scene between Menno and Akari when they're trying to go to sleep, and Menno makes a motion to say that you are my and ... and then Akari's like, you're my what? And so you kind of know that
no, you can't stop there.
Something like best friend, or you're my friend. No way was she going to say you're my girlfriend, because that's not how they had that set up.
Yeah.
So they are making these motions to make it a Yuri, but they won't do it. They do show them basically kissing in the OP. Except it's blocked out, but so they have those intentions in there, but they won't follow through with them.
They don't even have it tagged as Yuri or even Shoujo Ai on.
It's on Yuri Wiki, those little wiki fandom pages. It's on a Yuri fandom page. So
I think it's because the manga is maybe the light novel may go a lot further, but by far the worst thing about this anime was the final villain.
Yeah.
And I meant to get clips of this, and I told Pancake I was going to do that, but I just forgot to do it.
The CGI centipede thing is just atrocious. It was even atrocious before I got to that point. It's more that the main villain girl is this girl called Pandemonium, who explains that she is so powerful, but the continual rewinding of time from Akari allowed her to basically slip part of a finger out of this barrier or this portal or this fog or whatever. And that's the amount of her body that is needed to fuck the world up. But this little girl, because it drives me crazy, but it has to be a moe girl always. Oh my god, she is
I can't stand it.
Awful. So you can make the villain a child, but can you please stop making her sound like a fucking baby?
Yeah.
Mom.
You could be a voice actress for High Dive. You could.
Thank you. So yeah, and it goes on like that, and then you get to what she's even talking about in this stupid voice of hers, and it's I like movies. I want to make a movie, and you're my main characters.
Yes, so that's exactly
Did
what
you get close?
Oh yeah, you nailed it. That's exactly what I'm about to bitch about.
I didn't even listen to the dub.
So for those of you that grew up with so this is what I thought of when I heard her say that. I was like, first I rolled my eyes. I was weightlifting at the time. I almost dropped my my barbell.
I don't know how you're weightlifting while watching this.
It's what I have to do to survive in my life. But if you've seen the movie Scream from the 90s, the villains in Scream say that they're killing people because all the stuff they reference while they're stabbing people at the end is all about how this is the part of the horror movie where the villain comes in and he stabs you, or whatever, and then because they're so warped from watching so many horror movies that they want to that they're referencing. They're trying to make their own horror movie, and that's how the new Scream movie was too. That just came out like 6 months ago. And by the way, that movie was bad, but that's what I thought of, because the whole motivation for this super villain that's almighty and powerful is I just want to cause havoc so I can make my own Hollywood film like I had back in Japan. And I'm like, that is a fucking dumb ass.
It's so dumb.
So dumb. It's dumb that a little girl is the villain, because let's be honest, it should never be that way. Like little 7-year-old girls don't have enough ferocity or intimidation or strength or intelligence to do anything. Like barely
you can make
anything.
a creepy girl villain.
Barely
though. You
any.
can make them creepy.
7-year-olds aren't even smart enough to like fucking like write a letter to them to like. You can't even write a letter and mail it. You're 7, right? So you're certainly not going to be conquering the whole planet. And if you are, the other people in the world are dumber than you are. But for God's sake, don't make your whole motivation to make a fucking movie. It's so stupid.
The motivation,
God.
yes, is absolutely terrible. But about her being a kid and having somehow a mentality that is on par with an adult, I think, I'm not entirely certain, but I think she's just trapped in this body of a little girl. And she's been alive for years. But
Well,
it's hard to say because, like, by the end of this, I had like no idea who she was because apparently she's like the older sister of what's her face, Manon. Apparently, she is the older sister of Manon. But
Yeah, I think that's right.
when was she put in the fog, and why was she put in the fog, and why did she inherit her mother's otherworldly power? Or what? And
Well, you're right on target there. I just sort of feel like the anime doesn't do a very particularly good job of explaining everything.
yeah.
And that's fine because I don't really care, and it's not like all that deep and important anyway. I'm not missing out on a lot, But it is nice to have all your questions answered.
Like, and on that point, they do tease a lot about Menno's and Akari's past, like not even just their past timelines, but they show Menno wearing a schoolgirl's uniform in Akari's school classroom. So it's almost as if you're wondering, like, okay, so what's going on there? But they don't explain that. And I feel like there should be a little bit more to it before the end of the first season, because it just feels like something that they've introduced but forgotten about. Yeah, so I mean, and that's the things I want. Those are the interesting things I want to get to. I'm like, okay, so what is the secret to their relationship that has gone on for so long that Menno can't remember, but then she kind of does remember in some sorts and places. There's a lot of things that I like about this anime, but they don't focus enough on them. And then they go and they do,
I want to make a movie, and this is the part where I kill you. Blah, blah, blah.
I seriously, do you work for High Dive?
That's actually the job that I got recently. Ha ha!
High Dive drives me so crazy. Like, you exist. Look, I'm sorry, but like, you exist because you dub shit. That's it. That's all you do. You even like went so far as to copyright the word dubcast, which is, whatever. So like, you should have really, really good dubs. Like, you should have competent dub artists, and you should have people that know how to pronounce. Japanese is not hard to pronounce. It isn't. It has 5. They have 5 vowel sounds. It's like it makes English look like binary code. Like, honestly, Japanese is easier to pronounce than English. I'll stand by it. I'll die on that hill. So you should be able to do the dub. Should be a lot better. But then again, I could just not watch the dub. But it sounds like the sub was not good either.
No, the sub was okay. I mean, it's only when they got the annoying characters. Like Momo, I hated her and I hated her voice. And Akari, when she had her memories locked away, she was also annoying. But when she acted as she would, remembering everything that's happened in the past, she was decent. I liked her. Menno, it was good. The princess was good. Overall, it was a good sub.
Well, Momo means peach. I don't know if you know that, but so that probably tells you everything you need to know. But
another thing is just kind of on the same thought process about like the villains just being so uninteresting and not well written, is that they have like a lot of these monsters that they have to fight that aren't necessarily the villains, but they are just the henchmen, I guess you could call it. They fight these monsters, and they really build them up. Like, oh my god, incredibly dangerous. Like, they're made out of this really insanely dangerous material that I don't know if I could beat it. Oh my god. And they make it so, they build it up to be so difficult to fight. And then they're super easy to defeat. Yeah. Like, there was this one, I can't remember, it was like on the train, and there was that one monster that she was fighting.
Was it a red knight or something? Or...
Yeah, it's like something like that. It's been a while since I've seen it, but defeated so easily.
Yeah.
So yeah, they kept on doing that. So it's just like every fight was against something that I just did not care about.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Yeah, and I think that's basically all I have to say about it.
Like, it wasn't the worst anime I've ever seen. It was just kind of stupid.
I'm just disappointed.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess it's yeah. Anyway, so I'd probably, this anime is not that recommendable. I don't think it's very good. You know, the plot line doesn't make a lot of sense. It meanders way too much. It's about one thing, then without resolving that thing, it turns into something else, and then without resolving that, it goes into something else. And it never really seems to resolve anything, I feel like. And you know, all in all, I'd probably give it. Also, I thought this was kind of funny. There's a scene where, and this is just unimportant, but I'm gonna throw it in here anyway. There's a scene where the Archbishop has her cane, and it has 3 gemstones on top of it.
Yeah.
There's a red one, a blue one, and a green one. And Manuel says, "Oh, it's the primary color staff or primary color gems or something." And I'm like, "Green is not a primary color. What are you doing? It's not it's a secondary color. The primary colors are red, blue, and yellow, and the secondary colors are made by combining those 3 colors. Green, blue, and yellow is green. It is a secondary color. So, like, fucking A, what are you doing?" Anyway, I will give...
something so basic. They got wrong.
God damn it. I was so annoyed by that. I will give this anime 2 primary color gems, since that's how many were on that staff, red and blue, out of 5.
Well, you know how I have shit on this anime as well. I'm not gonna lie. But I did thoroughly enjoy it when it was something that I liked. When they got to the premise that I was interested in at first, I was intrigued and I wanted to continue it. And overall, I think if a second season were to come out, I would probably watch it, at least a little bit. But yeah, there were just a lot of things that were not great about it. And for that, I will give this 2.5 priestesses that are pure, just, and strong out of 5.
Yeah. Yeah, pure, strong. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I feel like that's about right. The anime is better than... Honestly, I feel like you will disagree. I feel like it was better than Realist Hero Season 2, but not as good as Realist Hero Season 1. That's my opinion. But I also know that I like that anime a lot more than you did, as you're making a face.
Yeah.
So
I would say it's better than both.
Yeah, I would like to see an anime with Yuri characters in it or yaoi characters where the anime doesn't just become about that. I'd like to, have, because people are normal people and they should just be, I feel like you can acknowledge it and then just have them be characters in the story. It doesn't have to be all about tit jokes and whatever, but.
Yeah.
So that's about it, guys. Next week, so I've actually made the schedule up for the podcast, and I can actually run through this with you, real quick here. So next week is Love After World Domination, as we noted.
Yes!
And after that is our last week of doing spring until we get into summer a little bit. So I put Bastard down because I knew that's done because Bastard is already all completely released on Netflix. And then after that, we're gonna review Made in Abyss because it's probably the biggest anime that we have from summer. But hey, we're just around the corner from fall anime selections. It's unbelievable, but that's gonna be needed to be done on episode 645. So just in about 2 weeks. It's
gonna be chock full of stuff. We have a lot of good stuff coming this season.
It's a really good fall season. Like, it's really worth being excited for. And I'm really excited to pick it. I love picking the shows.
I'm just sad we won't be able to review Mob Psycho season 3.
Yeah,
because it's the last season.
Yeah, I know, but you can still watch it. You can still watch it, review it, and post it on our RSS feed if you want to.
I suppose. But, I can see if anybody else would be on board with that.
I don't know who made the 2-season rule. I think it was just
I think it's a good point at that point. I feel like it is a good rule because at that point, who's going to go ahead and watch something based on if the third season was good? But still, I'm going to want to talk about season 3 of Mob Psycho, so.
All right, guys. Well, hey, thanks so much for tuning in with us today. We're going to do an after party after the podcast today. If you want to follow us, you can do it on social media. We're on Twitter. You can follow us at AAA Podcast. We're on Facebook, so hit us up on there. The TikToks, of course, you can go watch Caroline keep getting banned off TikTok for being so inappropriate.
Because I am too salacious.
Oh, that's a good word.
Me.
Very salacious. And then, of course, Discord. We prefer you on Discord. If you head over to our website, aapodcast.com, you can get on the Discord. And, hey, you can click that join button. You can join the podcast, drop us a few bones. You get all this extra content. You know, it's like you give the podcast like $5 or $10, and you get like 1,000 episodes. So it's like crazy.
And also, you would want to join the Discord for our anime club coming up on September 21st. We're going to be discussing Ping Pong the animation, and it's supposed to be really good.
Which is very
good. So please join us for that. 10 o'clock EDT.
Ping Pong is it's up there for sure. So all that, guys. But in the end, thanks for supporting the podcast and being great fans and listening. And we'll see you next week. So take care. Bye bye.
See you later.